Time management strategies. Do you need organizational skills? And do you want to learn how to organize your life? Well, I'm passionate about this. I'm not good at everything, but about time management, I'm pretty much the queen. My day is in my hands, and I rule it, and it does not rule me. And so I've got a lot of really great things to share with you.
Welcome to the Best Years Podcast. This is Dr. Darlene at whatstopsyou.com, speaking to Generation X and baby boomers who want more. I'll share power, skills, and tools with you to get your mojo back on a conscious and unconscious level. Be ready for real and lasting change.
I think we can all admit that when you're hurrying out the door and you can't find your keys, that's one of the most frustrating. Well, where is anything? People spend so much of their day looking for things. Now, this particular podcast is a little bit workbooky. So on a scale from 1 to 10, let's see if you need this. 1 is I am super good at this. I already know it. Well, you don't need to listen to it. 10 is, oh my gosh, I know nothing about this. I've studied it my whole life and I've just not got it nailed yet. So 1 to 10, how much do you need this? And if you're a 5 or above, listen up. I've got some really great things you may not have thought of before. Now, if this was a podcast I was listening to, I wouldn't want to listen to it because I'm good at this. But if it was on, say, a breakup and how to get over someone you love, which is what happened to me last year, then I would want to listen. So now that you know that this is something that you need, and it's workbooky, if you're driving, just listen up. You'll get the gist of it and come out with a lot of great things. If you're home, go ahead and get your pens out and take some notes. Now, most of us say there's not enough time in the day. I think most of us can agree that that's how we feel. I just did a podcast on the fact that there's 24 hours in a day and no one has more than 24. So deal with it. It's like a shopping cart that's metal and has a lid. You can only fit so much in. And if you organize it, then you can fit a whole lot more in. How many things, to start off with, do you juggle in your day? If all the things you had to do in your day were an apple, and you're going to juggle them, how many apples would you have? Would you have 1? My mom has 1 or 2 in her assisted living home. Would you have 50? Some corporate managers and people who have 1 million children have about 50 apples, and they're trying to juggle them. So how many do you juggle? Kind of how many hats do you wear? To list on paper or list in your mind the areas of your life that take time. For example, family, work, logistics, home duties, personal things, health issues, health prevention, etc. If you do breed dogs, do you basket weave? What do you do? Now, most busy individuals have about 4 to 5 main areas, and most of the areas have subcategories. So at this point, I want you to write down or think about your main areas that you have. What are your main things that you do? And write them down. If you're training for a marathon, that's a thing. If you're redecorating or you're doing a mortgage or something, or refi, it's kind of a big deal. So write that down. And some things come into your life that weren't there before. And so the saying is, oh, as soon as I get this done, when this is over. And that can be true if it's that specific time in your life that something shows up, it's big, you're into it, it's full, it's thick, you're doing it, you're involved, and then it does end. But some people say, oh, I'm going through closets. Well, that doesn't ever end. So I'm talking about things that are whole things that are in your life always, and you might have inserted something that has a beginning, middle, and end that will end, like a project or an art show if you're an artist and you're getting ready for it. So how many areas have you listed? Here's the thing. If you've listed more than 5 areas, consolidate them into no more than 5. So let's say you have family, and then you have a problem with your daughter, and then you've got to do some things with your spouse. And you've got to focus on some things with health issues with your spouse. Well, pull those all in to the 5 areas, one of which is family, so consolidate those in. Now, what do we do with this list? Well, I have a mental filing process that is not this podcast, but I think you can go look for it under mental filing or internal. I don't know exactly what it's called, but I do have one that's really, really super cool. But today we're kind of doing more external time management rather than internally managing your mind, which is a whole other thing that's super cool. So for today, external time management. What do we do with this list now? Do you have an electronic or paper planning system that's working? Yes or no? Okay, fine. You can say maybe. But do you have something that's working externally that you love? And if you don't love it, then let's keep talking. So, and you may say you like it, but if you had a coach looking at you, a time management coach that's staring at you and over your shoulder and helping you, would they say it's working? So sometimes we need someone else's opinion to know whether something's working or not. So for now, you're your own coach and you need to make these decisions. So you either check one of three boxes. I don't have a planning system. Second one, I think I have a planning system that's functional. And 3, I know my planning system is not functional. Oh dear. Now what do we do? What's a functional planning system? Let me tell you what it is. Now, I remember the days of Franklin planners. Yes, I do. And I miss them. And so I'm going to share with you what my planning system is like. Yet, let me just tell you the basics of what everybody should have. You've got to have a to-do list, obviously, somewhere, somehow. You need to have a calendar to write down your list of appointments and times. Duh. You need a section for phone numbers and addresses. Remember when these were all separate things, people? And now it's all in your phone. The next thing is obviously a week, month, and a year at a glance section. And years ago, I thought I was so brilliant about all this, but now it's all included in your phone. So that's always very helpful. And scratch paper for doodling and graffiti. And that's the thing that we struggle with. And we have our notepad in our phone. So that's something wonderful. But I'm also going to say you need some hard paper somewhere. And then, of course, portability so that you can carry it with you at all times. So do you have all those things? And where do you have them? They're probably in your phone. And quite frankly, when it's in your phone, it's really hard to see a month at a glance. And so I'll share with you that I have is, let me look at it here. I'm picking it up. It's called Action Day. It's from Amazon. It's got the month at a glance in the front and then pages all through it, kind of like a Franklin planner. And I don't totally use it, but it's just on my home desk. I don't take it with me so that I can use it at times to really look at my 3 months before the month I'm in, the month I'm in, and the month after. And so it's super useful to have something hard paper and your phone. Make sure you know where your notes are on your phone. Some people don't know where the notes are. And you can scratch ideas down as you're driving in that area. Now, what I love about what I do, I could be called a therapist, coach, counselor, all the same things. I had basically the same school and more. I had 4 years of unconscious mind school. And so I've got this expertise of how to normally counsel or work with people and coach, but yet what I like to do is forward think. So instead of always talking about what's the problem, and you need to establish the problem first, but I don't like to harp on it. I like to say, what would it look like if you got over the guy you were stuck with? What would it look like if you lost 50 pounds? What would it look like if you had a good family? What would it look like? And so today I want you to think about, go forward in the future without knowing how you're going to do it. But in your mind, go forward in the future. What would it look like, feel like, be like if I was excellent at time management? This is a pause here. What would it look like? Take a minute. Well, okay, so you probably don't know what it would look like. So what I want you to do is think about someone you know who has what you want. And that's a wonderful idea in life in general. When you want something, well, what do they do to have it? How do they do it? And let's not even go to how yet. Let's just go to look for someone that we can model that's as thin as we want to be, or as rich as we want to be, or has a cool family, or has a really pretty yard, or has a corporation that they're running smoothly, or how do they organize their clothes and wear something different every day and not repeat? Do they organize it in colors, or they do it by seasons? What does someone do that has something that you want? So do you know anyone who has slick time management? that's super good at it, and they're really in control of your day. And what does that look like? Close are they obeying the principles of time management? So now that you have a sense of these principles and you've identified that you have a problem and that you want to fix it, and you've rated your current skills and abilities, we're going to go forward modeling the person that you're looking at. And then in another podcast, we'll be setting specific goals customized to your personality, to your industry. So before we do that, in this podcast, we're just kind of discovering what it would look like. And now that you see someone that you could model, really analyze their attitude. Analyze, what they look at, what they focus at, what they say no to, what their priorities are for them, how they behave. And my guess is if they have really slick time management, they are super present in the moment. And isn't that the goal? To be really present with what you're doing, so present that the person you're looking at is the only person in your life right now. How is it when you sit down with someone and they look at you and you think that they are looking at you like you're the only person alive? And you know they have so much to do, but they just look at you. I remember I watched the show Steve Jobs or Jobs, and some of it was fictitious, of course, but it was so cool how right before he went on stage, someone would talk to him and he'd be so present with them that I was nervous watching going, you need to go get on stage. Tell that person you can't talk. And he'd just talk to him and listen and reply. And the audience is cheering him to come out, but he's talking to the person he's talking to. It was just really interesting to me how he could really compartmentalize and be there for whoever it was he was talking to. And when he was done, then he would go to the next thing and be completely present in that next thing. So is that what you want? Because when people are present with you, you like them better. And we all want to be liked. Face it. I want to have control of my life so I have pleasure instead of pain. But I also want to be loved and accepted and liked. And that is something, a gift you can give to people. And when you give that gift to people, they give it back. And it's a beautiful life. Beautiful relationships and a beautiful life. So do you want this? How much do you want this 1 to 10 to be able to really organize your day? If you are a 10, then you are ready to learn. If you're still a 5, then of course you may want to listen and see if you're motivated. I can just say there's ways to do this, and I kind of have a thing that I say, we can do everything we want. We can do everything we want. Not we can do anything we want, which is the normal saying, but we can do everything we want. We can take trailer trips. We can go flying places. We can go on cruises. We can be there for our kids' birthdays. We can do this. We can do that. We can do everything we want when we know about time management and we have the ability to say no and delegate. And we're going to get into that in part 2 of this. So to end part 1 here, tell me you have a to-do list in your planning system, a calendar for appointments and times, phone numbers and addresses somewhere, week, month, and year at a glance section, which, by the way, probably should be a hard copy somewhere too, as well as your phone. And scratch paper should also be in that same thing, what I recommend. And then portability, so you can carry it with you. So if you have those things, then you're ready for part 2, and we're going to get down and dirty, and we're going to get more into the how-to. I hope that this has motivated you and you are ready to have control of your day, so then you can put the things in that you choose to create the life that you want. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk soon.
If you like what you've heard, please subscribe to my channel so we can hang out. Also go to www.whatstopsyou.com for notes to this podcast and learn more power skills to indeed live the best years of your life.